Jamin AI. Jamin AI.
All right, so welcome to another Deep Dives, everybody. Today, we are exploring something kind of unique, a Christian perspective on environmentalism.
Interesting.
And to help us with that, we're going to be unpacking a recent blog post by Pastor Jamin Bradley.
Okay.
And he presents this really fascinating concept of heaven meeting earth to create what he calls a hybrid creation.
Interesting. A hybrid creation.
Yeah, and get this.
Okay.
He even suggests that farming could be considered like the earliest form of worship.
Wow. Okay.
I know, right? Pretty intriguing.
It is, yeah. It challenges us to think beyond the usual arguments about creation care. You know?
Absolutely. And to give you a little background on this guy, Jamin Bradley, he's a pastor, theologian, musician, author, and an exorcist.
Exorcist, wow.
Yeah, that definitely adds like another dimension to this whole thing.
It does, yeah.
So setting that aside for a moment, Bradley's core argument here is that for Christians, environmentalism is vital.
Right.
Because our world isn't actually heading for destruction, but it's heading for...
For what?
A radical renewal.
Oh, interesting. Renewal.
Yeah, and that idea of renewal, right? It's kind of woven all throughout the Bible.
It is.
If you think about it, we see it in those really powerful metaphors.
Like what?
Shaking and fire.
Right. Yeah, those are...
It's not about annihilation.
It's not.
No, it's about refinement.
Oh, refinement.
Yeah, like if you think about it like a blacksmith, right? Forging a sword, the intense heat and like hammering removes those impurities, leaving behind a stronger, more refined blade.
So if we apply that to Earth, then it's about burning away what's no longer serving us and then leaving behind something much stronger and more beautiful.
Right, yeah. Like more resilient or something.
Yeah, exactly. And when you think about it, that process of refinement through hardship, you know, it's something that we often experience personally too, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We all go through tough times, and it's in those fires that we're often shaped and molded into something more resilient, more compassionate.
Wow. I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
So it makes those biblical metaphors much more relatable now.
It does, right. And this whole idea of renewal, it connects directly to God's original vision for the earth, which is a heavenly garden with humanity as its caretakers.
Okay, and here's where Bradley's point about farming being the earliest form of worship comes in.
Okay.
I got to admit, that concept really struck me.
It is.
I mean, like pulling weeds and battling bugs doesn't exactly scream like spiritual experience to me.
No, not really.
But I'm curious how he makes that connection.
Well, think about the essence of farming, right? It's about nurturing and caring for creation, working in harmony with the earth to bring forth life. It's about stewardship, recognizing that we're not just owners of this planet, but caretakers entrusted with its well-being.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
It takes what we might consider a mundane activity and elevates it to something with much deeper meaning and purpose.
It does. And, you know, this concept of stewardship ties directly into Bradley's argument about this coming renewal.
Okay.
He actually points to the resurrection of Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would have never made that connection.
Really?
Yeah. Could you unpack that a little further?
Sure.
How does Jesus' resurrection relate to the earth's renewal?
It's all about the nature of Jesus's resurrected body.
Okay.
It was both earthly and heavenly, tangible yet transformed.
So in a way, it was a glimpse into what the earth itself could become.
Exactly. A blend of the physical and the spiritual.
Oh, good.
It's a reminder that this renewal isn't just about like a physical makeover of the planet. It's about a transformation that encompasses all of creation, including ourselves.
Wow. Okay.
And there's this really fascinating detail in the Gospels where after his resurrection, Jesus is mistaken for a gardener.
Oh, wow. I don't ever recall hearing that.
Really?
Oh, why do you think that detail is significant?
Well, in Christian tradition, gardening has always been a powerful metaphor for growth, transformation, and resurrection.
Right.
Just think about the simple act of planting a seed in the ground. It seems lifeless at first, but then it bursts forth with new life, pushing through the darkness and reaching toward the light.
That's a beautiful image.
It is, and it ties back perfectly to this idea of the Earth's renewal.
Right.
It's a reminder that even in what seems like death and decay, there's always the potential for new life, for growth, for transformation.
Okay.
And that's really what this hybrid creation is all about. It's about seeing the Earth not as something static and unchanging,
Right.
but as a dynamic, living entity that's constantly evolving and being renewed.
Right. Constantly being renewed. Yeah. It's like the Earth itself is going through like its own resurrection.
It is, yeah.
It's a pretty powerful concept.
It is. And Bradley,
yeah.
He doesn't just like present this theological theory.
Right.
He's issuing a call to action here.
Oh, yeah.
He urges us to cultivate the world with Christ here and now.
Okay, I love how that sounds, but like, what does that actually look like?
Oh,
it feels kind of abstract.
I think it has a dual meaning, right?
Okay.
On the one hand, it's about the literal cultivation of the earth, the environmental care that we often talk about, you know?
Right, like reducing our impact and all that.
Exactly. Protecting natural resources, promoting those sustainable practices.
So that's like the gardening aspect.
Like, the gardening aspect.
Like the direct care for the planet?
Precisely, but it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
Cultivating the world with Christ also means cultivating those qualities that he embodied.
Okay, like what?
Love, compassion, order in the face of chaos.
Oh.
It's about working towards justice and peace.
Right.
In our communities and in the world.
That's about like taking that same nurturing, caring energy that we bring to like a garden and applying it to our relationships, our social structures, just our way of being in the world.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we are all interconnected.
Okay.
That our actions have ripple effects.
Yeah.
And that by cultivating love and order in one area of life, we contribute to the flourishing of the whole.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So like those random acts of kindness, they become less random.
Yeah.
It's more like seeds we're planting in the garden of humanity.
I love that. Yeah.
Good image.
It's so true. And you know what's really inspiring about Bradley's approach?
What's that?
Is that it moves beyond that doom and gloom that we often associate with environmentalism, you know?
Oh, for sure.
He's not trying to make people feel guilty into action.
Right.
He's offering a message of hope and empowerment.
So it's not about focusing on the destruction.
No.
It's about focusing on...
And the potential.
The potential for renewal and recognizing that we play a part in making that happen.
Exactly. He reminds us that we are not passive bystanders in this story.
Right.
We are co-creators with Christ, working alongside him to bring about this incredible transformation.
You know, as we're talking about all this, I keep thinking back to a phrase that Bradley used in his post. He described this merging of heaven and earth as a sloppy, wet kiss.
Yes.
It's such a weird image.
I know, right? Strange and unexpected.
Yeah. But it also kind of perfectly captures, like...
It does.
The messy, beautiful, chaotic, and ultimately hopeful nature of this whole idea.
It does. It does.
It's a good way to put it.
It's a reminder that this process of renewal isn't going to be neat and tidy, right? There will be challenges, setbacks, moments of doubt. But through it all, there's this underlying current of hope, this driving force of love that's pushing us towards something truly extraordinary.
So as we begin to wrap up this deep dive, could you just share like a few key takeaways for our listeners to hold on to?
Okay.
What are like the essential nuggets from Bradley's argument?
Well, I think firstly, it's crucial to recognize that environmentalism is not just a political or scientific issue.
Right.
It's a deeply spiritual one, deeply intertwined with our faith.
Okay.
It's about aligning ourselves with God's plan for creation, a plan that's ultimately rooted in renewal and restoration.
And that this renewal isn't some far-off event, you know, and it's happening right now.
It is happening now.
And we have the power to participate in it through our choices and our actions.
Exactly. Every effort that we make to care for the earth, to cultivate love and order in our lives and communities, that's a step towards bringing heaven and earth closer together. Wow.
It's about embodying those values in our everyday lives.
And even something as simple as tending a garden, right?
Yes.
Can be seen as an act of worship, a way of connecting with the divine and participating in this ongoing work of creation.
Exactly.
So it's about finding that sense of the sacred in the everyday.
And I think another important takeaway is that we're not alone in this endeavor.
Right.
We are co-laboring with Christ, the ultimate gardener, who's guiding and sustaining us through every step of the process.
It's a really powerful message of hope.
It is.
Especially in times when the world feels so full of challenges and uncertainties.
Yeah.
Bradley's perspective reminds us that even amid all the chaos, there's always the potential for beauty, growth, and transformation.
Absolutely. And, his idea of farming as the earliest form of worship raises some pretty interesting questions.
Oh, like what?
Well, if farming truly is a form of worship,
how might that change how we view our relationship with the natural world?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does make you kind of stop and think.
It does.
How often do we treat nature as just like a resource, to be exploited, or like a backdrop?
Yeah, just a backdrop to our busy lives.
Yeah. But what if we actually approached it with the same reverence and intentionality that we bring to our spiritual practices?
It's a pretty radical shift in perspective.
It really
Moving beyond a purely utilitarian view of nature and recognizing its inherent sacredness.
Yeah, and it's like we're being invited
We are.
to rediscover that childlike sense of wonder and awe in the face of creation.
It's beautiful. And to recognize the interconnectedness of all things.
Yes, how our actions impact not just the environment.
Not just the environment.
But also our communities, our relationships, even our own inner lives. It's about cultivating a sense of responsibility. Not just for the planet, but for each other and for future generations.
And, it doesn't require those grand gestures. You don't have to become some kind of eco-warrior. It can start with very simple things.
Like what?
Like paying attention to the seasons. Appreciating the beauty of a flower. Choosing to walk or bike instead of drive.
So those small everyday choices, they can become acts of worship.
They can,
It's ways of aligning ourselves
It is,
with that larger story of renewal.
And transformation. Absolutely. And it's not about achieving perfection. It's about taking those small steps.
Those little steps.
Making those conscious choices. And allowing ourselves to be transformed by the beauty and wisdom of the natural world.
So this entire conversation has been really enriching and inspiring.
I agree.
Pastor Bradley's perspective really offers like a fresh and hopeful way to think about our relationship with the earth and our role in this ongoing story.
It does.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with like a final thought to ponder. If, as Bradley suggests, farming is the earliest form of worship, how might we reimagine our relationship with the natural world in light of this idea?
What would it look like to approach our gardens, our parks, our forests, even our urban landscapes with a sense of reverence and awe? See them as places where we can connect with the divine and participate in this ongoing work of creation.
It's a beautiful and challenging invitation.
It is.
So, dear listener, as you go about your day today, I encourage you to like take a moment to reflect on your own personal connection with the natural world. How might you cultivate your own little corner of the garden of God, both literally and figuratively?
I love that.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Of course.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Likewise.
Until next time, keep cultivating, keep exploring, and keep seeking the sacred in the everyday too.
There's a promise buried deep in the soil, a seed sown by grace, untouched by the toil, where heaven meets earth in a holy embrace, a world reborn, a sacred place. We're building Eden with our hands, bringing heaven to these lands, not just waiting, not just done, till heaven's gardens fully come. Shake the ground, what's true and strong will still that blooms in the wild, a glimpse of God's heart, nature's child. We're not just passing through this place, it's a home we're meant to grace. We're building Eden with our hands, bringing heaven